ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin's explosive price increase today and why bear season might just be over. But once in a while, people take the signs down from the trees, noting that it's bear season a little too early. So who knows just yet? But we did see something very interesting today. And for the past couple weeks or so, we have heard about a lot of investor money coming into Bitcoin. And, you know, I'm not sure if this is necessarily investor money, but it does look like some kind of whale purchase, as we can see here on GDAX. And we also have CoinMarketCap up. We'll talk about some of the articles, the news articles on this update, and a couple news articles after that as well. So Bitcoin went up about $1,000. And you could argue even $1,100 after that, and looks like it's still going up. You could see all the buy orders. So buy ordering is essentially dominating right now. We do have quite a bit of sellers lining up at the moment, but it does fluctuate very, very quickly. For the most part, it's completely stagnant at the moment. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So around 3 a.m. last night, we were trading about 6,800. And if you don't count these two here, in just about 45 minutes, we went from about 6,900 to 8,000, a little over 8,000. So you could say in the order of $1,100 or $1,000. And so big increase there, but that was at the maximum shadow. And it since fell just a little bit to maintain about $7,800 or so, $7,600, and now it's about $7,900. So it's really flat and stagnant, and so that's good for at least one reason, and that reason is that it didn't immediately come back down from sellers just looking to get their profits when they're scared of the bear market. So that's definitely a good sign that nobody has since dumped these, although sometimes it takes a little while, and if this was sort of a whale investor, they could wait for the price to maybe reach a little over 8,000 and then dump what they had just previously bought. So we're not out of the woods just yet, but it is looking pretty good. A lot of the selling pressure has really started to die off, and if you go back a little further in the charts, you can see that you know, it's remained pretty calm for a while now, and not looking all the way back there, but pretty calm for a little while now. We have a couple little ups and downs there. But just now starting to really explode outwards, you can see in the one-day chart, then you really see the difference. And as far as Litecoin goes, big difference there in Litecoin too, trading about 113 earlier, and then now we're at about $130 just about. So everything way, way up. You can really see it in the Bitcoin chart here. There's just this one explosive jump. And even in the 7-day chart, you can see it pretty firm, if not even better there. Taking a look at all the coins, we can see huge gains on just about everything, which is really good. And these aren't just little simple gains like a couple percent, like some days that you see it green even in a bear market. These are big gains. So these are all 10, 20, 30%. Even if you take a look at the top here, Mithril all the way to 140, and a lot of coins well over 20%. Most of them pretty alty coins, though, for the most part. And the main coins all around 10 to 15% or so, which is pretty good. So now moving on here, there was a tweet, and this was posted to the crypto Reddit and cryptocurrency Reddit. And so I'm not even a follower of this person. I'm not sure if this was a retweet or what, but it says, ready to have your mind blown, more Bitcoin traded hands in that 1 hour than any other time in history. And I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but it was quite a bit of trading volume, 1.2 billion trading volume in an hour. So that is extremely fast. I believe I just kicked my mouse out from under my table. How about that, guys? So, you know, here's an article, The Bitcoin Bulls Are Back, by a Forbes contributor. It says Bitcoin prices rose sharply today, showing that bullish sentiment has returned to the digital currency markets. The bulls are back in charge, said analyst Charles Hayter, pointed out to Bitcoin's robust intraday gain and a short squeeze taking place on Bitfinex. The world's largest cryptocurrency reached 8,055, climbing almost 20% less than 6 hours. So market data provided by major exchange Bitfinex helped illustrate the bullish nature of the market. Buy orders for the Bitcoin US dollar pair accounted for roughly 50% or 57% of all orders during the last 24 hours. So definitely way more buying pressure. As Bitcoin's price rose, the digital currency experienced a short squeeze, meaning that traders closed out their short positions and therefore pushed the cryptocurrency's price higher. So a lot of people with short positions that did not close them out, well, you just lost out today. But you know, the price is up, so there's something to look forward to. So the short squeeze does signify a change in sentiment, said Hader. Tim Anaking, managing director of crypto asset management, also weighed in on the mindset of traders, stating that they've been experiencing lower fear, increased risk appetite lately. Bitcoin prices have encountered several headwinds lately, including tax considerations and the decision of the Mt. Gox trustee to sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of digital currency. However, these bearish factors have weakened as of late. So this development has helped the digital currency rally. So I believe the surge in Bitcoin price is connected more with decreasing selling pressure than anything else. So I've also heard it attributed to the end of tax season. Everybody's getting their taxes back, and the end of tax deadline is over. So a lot of people sell all of their Bitcoin to make up some of the losses in taxes, and then they pay the taxes with it. So there's that. So Bitcoin price jumps over 1,000 in an hour. So basically, I have a few of these that are the same, but say a little different. So the price of Bitcoin and a wide range of other digital assets have seen some significant gains today. Earlier during the morning trading sessions, market spiked over $1,000 in less than 60 minutes, gaining 10%, reaching a price of $80.60 per coin. Following the phenomenal jump in value, buyers met some resistance, and Bitcoin's value has dipped back, averaging about 7,600. Now we're about 7,900. So Bitcoin markets see gains of 10%, but that's so that's not unusual when you see that rapid increase. And when it's going a little too fast, people will shed the top off and start their profits. So it's natural to dip, and then people to say, oh, it's not going to dip any further. Let's start buying in, and so it increased another few $100s since then. So cryptocurrency markets are on a tear today, as most digital assets jumped in value from 10 to 20% during the morning trading session. And Bitcoin trade volumes have spiked considerably worldwide, as our last market update 6 days ago reports a daily volume of 4 billion, and that metric has doubled as Bitcoin trade volumes worldwide now rest at 8.1 billion over the past 24 hours. So double the volume in just 24 hours. So this is looking good, because it's not just a price increase, but there's a lot of volume, so that's just a lot more people buying and selling. The top 5 exchanges swapping the most Bitcoin today are Bitfinex, OKX, Binance, Upbit, and Huobi. I don't even know if I say that right, but something Chinese. Bitfinex has over 664 million in 24-hour volume, and U.S. trades have spiked significantly today. Last week, the Japanese yen accounted for well over 60% of the Bitcoin global trade volume, but that metric has dropped to 45%. U.S. dollar is now up to 28%. As the fiat currency has gained some steam this week. This is followed by Tether, the Euro, and South Korean Won. So Japan is absolutely dominating the Bitcoin trading with, only 28%, nearly 29% of, U.S. dollar. And then Tether beating out the Euro by a long margin. And then the Euro and South Korean Won. Pretty much even. So technical indicators, looking at the 30-minute 4-hour price chart on the exchange, Bitstamp shows the bulls are currently trying to push past resistance right now at the 7,600 range, which according to now they have, but not by much, a few $100. After a few weeks of the long-term simple moving average being well above the short-term 100 SMA, the two have crossed pairs again. At the time of writing, the 100 SMA is above the 200 SMA, very good. Indicating the path to resistance should be on the upside after dipping southbound over the last 2 hours. The MAC is showing an upward trend as buyers eat through current sell orders. However, the relative strength index and stochastic oscillators. Wow, stochastic oscillators. I literally don't even know what that is. Sure, stochastic oscillators. You could Google it, but TA sometimes, it does have its place, but at other times it's just like you're like, oh no, I'm betting it's going to be 25,000 this year, like based on the other years, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't really correlate, you know, all the time based on the technology and implications and stuff, but it's all good. So the top digital assets, overall cryptocurrency markets in general, are well up over 10 to 20%, and the top 100 digital currencies are all in green. The second highest market valuation commanded by Ethereum is up by 10.1%, and so another green there. So another article, just basically all saying the same thing, to be totally honest. It's all just talking about how Bitcoin has jumped up $1,000 today. The crypto markets experienced an explosion of growth today, jumping more than 1,000 to break 8,000 just over a 30-minute period. I saw it as more of a 45 to maybe an hour-ish period, but either way, depends on where you start it from. While no specific events have been confirmed as the reason for the sharp price jumps across the board, Twitter users have speculated the recent news that Bitcoin has declared compliant with Sharia law, according to a report published online today, may have contributed to the spike. So additional 1.8 billion people will now be able to buy Bitcoin as declared halal and holy for Islamic community. Expect to bounce as soon as Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, sovereign funds enters the crypto markets. So I believe that was like a fintech article, and I did see that earlier, but you know, because Sharia law, in case anybody doesn't know, you know, I mean, you can't have interest rates on things in the Arab world, in the Muslim world, because interest is illegal, and so it's called usury, and it's sort of a Jewish religion thing to charge interest. And if you didn't know that, well, welcome to planet Earth. You know, where have you been for the past like 2,000 years or so? But so, you know, if you go to buy a Lambo in the United Arab Emirates, when you go and, you know, like say they want I don't know, let's say it's $200,000. Well, instead of paying interest on, you know, if you go to lease it or to loan it, you know, or to whatever, to finance it, you don't pay interest, but you rather you pay a upfront donation to the car dealer or to your realtor or things like that. So you don't pay interest, but rather you pay a donation up front. So I guess, like, I mean, they're full, I don't know, kind of fooling yourself, but all right. So Bitcoin is currently trading at around 7,817, up around 14% over a 24-hour period. And Bitcoin, and you're like, what does that have to do with Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin doesn't have like interest rates or anything like that, so it's, you know, I don't know, it's compliant, I suppose. Welcome to Bitcoin. Yeah, I agree. Crypto trader and Twitter persona Whale Panda referred to the jump as a bear trap. Could be. You know, like I said, don't count that Bitcoin is out of the bear market yet. It is looking good, but this is a non-organic growth, and that was likely, you know, a lot of whales that bought into that, or at least one whale that pumped it up here, and then everybody else sort of jumped in on it. So don't count it over just yet. Ethereum has also experienced a notable price jump, jumping to around 465 by press time. I would call that more of a bull trap, though, rather than a bear trap, because it's going up. So that means, you know, like you buy into it, that you're bullish, that you're going to be trapped into the bullish nature, and so when that goes up, you know, you're going to buy into it, and then somebody's just going to immediately sell it and make the profit that you use to pump it up. So I think like bear trap kind of goes the other way, in my opinion. I don't know, but either way, looking really good. So also the Long Blockchain Corporation receives delisting determination from NASDAQ. So in case you guys didn't know, the Long Island Iced Tea Corporation decided to change their name at one point because everybody was putting blockchain onto under their corporation name, or this, that, or the other thing. And when they did that, their stock went up unbelievable amounts. And so you could see a 432% gain just by naming themselves blockchain. That's it. They did the same thing, but they just named themselves blockchain. So they went up 432%, and so NASDAQ delisted them. They're still a publicly traded company. You can still buy stock with them, but NASDAQ delisted them. So the listing qualifications department that a determination to delist a company's securities have been made. The company appealed the determination with a hearing supposedly on the 22nd of March. So I'm not sure what happened. The hearing panel chose to uphold the delisting determination. So it was, upheld. And so that's probably going to hurt their company a little bit. But, I think if that's what you have to do to make your company go up 400 and some odd % in value just by naming the same company that you've always had and done, Long Blockchain Corp, then I don't think you deserve a 432% increase anyway, and I think you should take some hits for that. Like, just because, like, you're here to offer a product, not a name. That's so ridiculous, but good for them, I guess. They made money. So the anti-ASIC revolt, just how far will crypto's war on miners go? So public cryptocurrencies stay public, ? Or can public cryptocurrencies? That's a simple question that lies at the heart of a complex debate happening across major cryptocurrencies where developers from projects as diverse as Ethereum, Monero, Zcash are up in arms about what to do about the arrival of a new form of hardware that could upend the delicate balance of their distributed communities. Designed specifically to enable operators to earn a greater share of their networks as rewards, ASICs have emerged to mine a handful of cryptocurrencies that were previously only able to be secured by those using GPU hardware. At stake, however, it's the very access and openness of protocols themselves. You know what? This actually just brings up something for me right now in my head. In this place here, this one. So I wonder what the price or what the demand for GPUs would be right now if ASICs never came out and you had to mine Bitcoin all along with GPUs. GPUs would be, because you would have to essentially replace all of the ASICs that have ever been bought, and then people would end up replacing them with video cards. If like the timeline, if you like quantum leaped backwards, and, you had your Ziggy or whatever, and everybody would have to replace all the ASICs with just rows and rows and rows and rows of video cards, kind of like we have now, except even more video cards. So that's an interesting thought about, what the demand would be now, and it would be unbelievable. So at stake, however, is the very access and openness of the protocols themselves. Stepping back, it's important to unpack just what occurs during the mining process, a somewhat complex phrase that denotes a practice by which anyone can theoretically devote spare computer hardware toward running and securing blockchain networks. So Ethereum, Monero, and Zcash can all be mined with GPU hardware. Graphics cards sold at major computing stores, and more expensive ASICs, however, are specifically designed for an optimized mining process, and that's at the heart of some of the complaints against the arrival of the new slew of products. That's because, as Bitcoin has proven in the past, GPUs won't be able to coexist with ASICs, as their arrival is likely to push the hash rate to a level where the other types of miners will become unprofitable. And the threat of opportunity lies ahead is now splitting cryptocurrency users, many of whom may have invested previously in products that are now effectively obsolete. So a miner going by the handle of FP Bitmine, for example, went so far as to accuse Zcash creator Zuku Wilcox of not doing enough to support those who invested in helping the network gain value. "You are biting the hand that feeds you," the miner wrote on a Zcash forum. ASIC mining acceptance would mean that every single miner that has supported the Zcash network will be displaced and forced to switch to new coins or invest in new hardware. So the back and forth is such many miners are threatening to take their hardware elsewhere or else create alternate versions of the cryptocurrencies they're already mining, something which they can freely do by cloning the codebase. Last week, privacy-centric cryptocurrency Monero executed a hard fork, a system-wide software upgrade, to remove the ability for ASICs to be used on the network, but in turn, 3 groups hard forked to create their own versions: Monero Classic, Monero Original, and Monero Zero. The divergent ideas about whether ASICs are beneficial for or a threat to Monero mirror the opinions of other cryptocurrency communities as well. So, ASICs really split communities, and it just sort of forces, like, well, okay, well, if you're going to put an ASIC for the coin that I mine all the time, like Ethereum or Equihash, I'm just going to switch my hash rate to a different one. And so, fewer people have the ASICs, and now they replace all the hash rate, so that's fine. but now fewer people are actually involved in the project because they all switched to something else. So echoing the sentiment, Vertcoin Twitter handle tweeted how it believes action is needed. We are sad to see the news of possible ASICs being created for Ethereum. We believe that it is time to take a stand against monopolized mining, it said. And the same headbutting is happening in the Zcash community. Because if you can create an ASIC for Ethereum, you can create an ASIC for a lot of coins. Some coins not so much, but a lot of coins. You know, as long as you have the RAM required to do it, you should be able to do it. So while Zcash Miner warned on a forum that there are consequences for a crypto that fails to keep out ASICs, Zcash founder Zuku Wilcox told CoinDesk that he believes forking away from ASICs could do even more harm than good. Adding to that, IC3 researcher has said that anti-ASIC efforts are akin to censorship, and others have argued that such efforts increase the power of the core developer team. But all these complaints to the anti-ASIC sentiment seem to be on the minority side of the debate. As a way to measure sentiment, several Twitter polls were conducted that show a majority leaning towards anti-ASIC hard forks, a procedure that would require editing a crypto's underlying algorithm. So, yet on the other side of the debate aren't particularly fired up. Instead, their comments feel like a kind of good riddance. For instance, speaking to CoinDesk, Rob Stumpf, the moderator of Ether Mining, the Ethereum mining subreddit, said, if a developer believes that he or she can improve upon Ethereum and wishes to start their own fork, they can do just that. Any Monero core developer said, and the Monero core developer said that during a recent call, there were no hard feelings toward divergent Monero groups. It's a mental shift for people that they're not used to yet, that the power is in their hands to have the discussions they want to have. So one discussion that this case had brought back to the forefront is Ethereum's interest in scraping mining by moving proof of work to proof of stake. Buterin told developers at a recent meeting that ASICs would be flushed out with the upgrade, so there isn't much to worry about, although there still isn't the date isn't still nailed down for that change. So speaking to Ethereum developers' interest in eliminating mining, Stumpf said, mining was always doomed from the start. It's just a ticking difficulty time bomb waiting to explode. And Wilcox echoed this. Maybe instead we should work on some other solution, such as switching to proof of stake, or getting major hardware companies like NVIDIA and Huawei, I don't even know, to sell hardware miners to anyone. Pseudo-anonymous Monero research lab developer. Wow, say that 10 times fast. Sarang Noether even seemed to think that the dip between 70 and 80% in hash rate that occurred after the hard fork was proof that ASICs were secretly being used on the network. And then they were gone. Monero developer told CoinDesk, the community is, as always, mixed. Most seem to recognize that the dev team has simply carried out its sentiment to egalitarian mining. So my opinion on ASICs is that I don't really like them so much. You know, I wouldn't mind if all of the Bitcoin ASICs just poof went up and disappeared, so everybody could start mining Bitcoin with their GPUs. Even still, it might not even be all that profitable. So I guess you know, on second thought, maybe just let them. Screw it, because at this point, like, Bitcoin mining is not all that profitable unless you have a row and row and row and row of ASICs and a ton of power and basically exposure to cold or Iceland or something like that. But some of these ASICs do really hurt the community of a lot of coins. It sends a lot of people running elsewhere for power. And, you know, when you start mining a different coin, sometimes your allegiance changes to that coin that you're particularly mining. So, you know, if Monero did not prevent that ASIC, and, you know, true Monero believers might be like, well, you know, I can't mine Monero anymore, so I might as well just go to something else. So, yeah, you know, there's all that. I really hope the price of coin continues going up, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.